Si alguien dice que la maldición de Allah sea en cada sabio religioso, es blasfemia, porque es una frase que es general y que contradice la religión. Sin embargo, si uno no se refirió a todos los sabios religiosos, pero quiso decir aquellos de su propio tiempo, y existe alguna cuestión asociándolo que indica este significado por sus condiciones corruptas, entonces uno no blasfemaría. Estas palabras, sin embargo, no son libres de pecado. Entonces, cuando alguien dice un dicho así que es general y contradice la religión, entonces la persona sería juzgada como blasfemador si no tiene un contexto o algo que restringe ese dicho a no ser general. Entonces el ejemplo que dan aquí es que hay personas que están hablando acerca de eruditos o sabios en el Islam que son corruptos, que ellos son ignorantes o que dan juzgamientos incorrectos. Entonces están en esa conversación y una persona en esa conversación dice que la maldición de Allah sea en cada sabio religioso. Pero él se estaba refiriendo a esos corruptos y el contexto de la conversación pues indicaba eso, que él se estaba refiriendo a eso y fue su intención. Entonces en este caso no es juzgado como blasfemador, pero sus palabras tienen pecado. Otro ejemplo es como lo que dicen algunas mujeres, que es blasfemia. Ellas dicen que todos los hombres son perros. Entonces ese tipo de dicho es blasfemia porque entre los hombres hay profetas. Entonces si una mujer dice que todos los hombres son perros sin cualquier contexto que restringe ese dicho a algo específico y que no tiene significado general, entonces ella comete blasfemia porque estaría llamando a algunos profetas perros. Entonces uno tiene que tener cuidado con las palabras que está diciendo específicamente cuando son generales. Entonces uno debe de siempre usar palabras precisas. Decir, por ejemplo, algunos hombres son perros o muchos hombres son perros. En este caso no sería peligroso porque si es verdad que muchos hombres son perros o algunos hombres son perros. Pero si alguien dice todos los hombres son perros, entonces sería blasfemia porque estaría llamando a algunos profetas perros, porque entre los profetas hay hombres. Otro dicho que es conocido en el idioma árabe, que también es blasfemia, que los árabes dicen, que no se debe decir, que ellos dicen que los árabes son una enfermedad. Entonces entre ellos los árabes dicen que son una enfermedad. Entonces eso no se puede decir porque hay algunos profetas que son árabes. Entonces esas tipos de palabras tienen que ser restringidas a un contexto específico. Y así todos los dichos que son así generales, uno tiene que tener cuidado con ellos porque si son dichos que contradicen la religión y no hay cualquier contexto que los restringe a un significado específico, entonces sería blasfemia. Entonces la persona tiene que tener cuidado. También si alguien dice yo no reconozco a Allah, los ángeles, el profeta, el Corán o la ley islámica o el Islam, tal dicho es blasfemia, por supuesto, porque estaría como diciendo que yo no reconozco el Islam. The author said, to say, I don't know the judgment while ridiculing the judgment revealed by Allah. So it's a type of mockery that the person uses when they say, I don't know the judgment. So the reason it's blasphemy is because they're making fun of the judgment. If they in fact really don't know the judgment and somebody asks them and they say, I don't know the judgment, and they're not mocking, then it's not blasphemy because they're just saying they don't know the judgment. But sometimes the person, they say, I don't know that judgment or something like that out of mockery and ridicule, so they blaspheme. Si alguien dice yo no sé el juicio con el propósito de burlarse del juicio revelado por Allah, entonces sería blasfemia porque esta persona se está burlando de lo que Dios reveló. Pero si en realidad no sabe el juicio y él solamente está informando que él no sabe el juicio, pero sin burlarse, Entonces aquí no es blasfemia. To say or to mention a verse from the Quran with the intention of belittling its meaning, like to say وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا after one has filled the cup, or to say فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا after one has emptied a drink, or to say وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ يُخْسِرُونَ upon weighing or measuring, or to say وَحَشَرْنَاهُمْ فَلَمْ نُغَادِرْ مِنْهُمْ أَحَدًا when seeing a crowd. Similarly, in any occasion where the person quotes the verses of the Quran with this intent, one becomes a kafir. However, if the quoting is not done with this intention, one does not become a kafir, non-Muslim. Nevertheless, Shaykh Ahmed ibn Hajar said this is not far from being unlawful haram. So the reason it's blasphemy is because they're reciting those verses, making fun of their meaning. So, like for example, the first verse, وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا, is referring to the drinks that the Muslims will be drinking in paradise. It's referring to cups filled with delicious drinks that the Muslims will drink in paradise. That's what the verse is referring to. So if a person, right, a vile, wicked, evil person, they fill a cup of wine and then they recite that verse, making fun of that, saying that the wine is, let's say, better than that, or that the wine is actually real, but what's mentioned in the verse is like a myth or something like that, they blaspheme. Because they're reciting وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا when it's referring to the drinks of paradise while he's pouring wine in his kitchen. So you see how it's blasphemy. You see how that is. So any time that the Quran is recited like that, with that way, in that way, a verse is recited like that, the person would blaspheme because he's belittling the meaning. And the same for all the other examples. Entonces mencionar un ayah con la intención de degradar su significado, como decir el versículo 34 de Surat al-Naba, وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا, después de haber llenado una taza. Este versículo se refiere a una taza llena hasta el borde con las bebidas del paraíso. O decir el versículo 20 de Surat al-Naba, después de haber vaciado una bebida, فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا. Este versículo se refiere a las montañas que se desvanecerán en el día del juicio como si fueran un espejismo. Decir el versículo 3 de Surat al-Mutaffifin, mientras uno está pesando, midiendo, وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ يُخْسِرُونَ, mientras uno está pesando o midiendo. Este versículo se refiere a alguna gente que engaña cuando mide o pesa. Decir el versículo 47 de Surat al-Kahf, cuando uno ve una multitud. وَحَشَرْنَاهُمْ فَلَمْ نُغَادِرْ مِنْهُمْ أَحَدًا. Este versículo se refiere al día del juicio final, cuando la gente será reunida sin que uno de ellos sea dejado fuera. Si uno usa los versículos del Quran en algo más que en su contexto apropiado, sin degradarlas, uno no blasfema. Sin embargo, el Sheikh Ahmed, el hijo de Hajar, que Allah tenga misericordia de él, dijo: esto no está lejos de ser ilícito, haram. Entonces, cualquier versículo, si el musulmán lo menciona o lo recita con la intención de burlarse del significado de ese versículo, comete blasfemia. Por ejemplo, en el primer ejemplo, el versículo se está refiriendo a los vasos del paraíso que están llenos con bebidas deliciosas para los habitantes del paraíso. Entonces, si alguien recita ese versículo para burlarse del significado, mientras está llenando una taza de vino, comete blasfemia. Entonces, digamos, una persona llena una taza de vino y recita ese versículo que se está refiriendo a las bebidas del paraíso para burlarse de ese significado, comete blasfemia. Y también todo ejemplo que sea así, si recita los versículos del Corán para burlarse del significado. Entonces, el autor del libro usó esos ejemplos. Pero si alguien recita un versículo del Corán fuera de su contexto, pero sin la intención de burlarse, en este caso no es blasfemia, pero sí es prohibido, porque no tiene no tiene el respeto apropiado al Corán, pero no llega al nivel de blasfemia. The other said, likewise, the one who cusses a prophet or an angel falls into kufr. Or if he says, I would be a pimp if I perform the prayer. Or I have not gained any good since I have started praying. Or prayer is not good for me with the purpose of mockery. And it's clear in these examples that the person is degrading prayer. And it's as if he's saying the prayer is something that has a low status. Or the prayer means nothing. That's why the person blasphemes, the one who says this. Like in the Arabic-speaking countries, to be a pimp is something very low, something very bad, something very dispraised. So this person is saying, I would be a low, dispraised person if I prayed. So what is that? What do they mean by that? They mean the prayer is bad, or the prayer is meaningless, or the prayer has a low status. So that's why they blaspheme, because it's dispraising the prayer. The same thing with if someone says, I haven't gained any good since I started praying. They're dispraising the prayer. They're saying the prayer is no good. The prayer is a bad thing. That's why they blaspheme, because they're contradicting the religion. And the last example, prayer is not good for me, with the purpose of mockery. They mean here the person is saying it, making fun of the prayer, like the prayer is not going to benefit him. So that's why they blaspheme. But there are certain cases where they say a woman is on her period and she says the prayer is not valid for me, or prayer is not suitable for me. So she's just informing about her situation. So she wouldn't blaspheme in that case because she's not making fun of the prayer. Insultar a un profeta o a un ángel, por supuesto, es blasfemia. Decir palabras que se burlan del rezo, como decir, si yo rezara sería un proxeneta. Ahí hay un comentario ahí abajo que dice, la importancia de este ejemplo es para indicar cualquier término similar que degrade al que ejecuta el rezo. Es decir, cualquier frase o cualquier palabra que demuestra que esa persona desprecia al rezo, que dice el rezo es malo, el rezo no tiene valor, comete blasfemia. O decir nada bueno me ha pasado desde que empecé a rezar. O decir el rezo no es apropiado para mí con el propósito de burlarse. Decirle a un musulmán, soy tu enemigo y el enemigo de tu profeta. Entonces por eso es blasfemia, porque dice que es enemigo del profeta. O decirle a un descendiente del profeta, Sharif, soy tu enemigo y el enemigo de tu abuelo, refiriéndose al profeta sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. O decir cualquier cosa similar a las palabras aborrecibles y feas mencionadas anteriormente. Porque esas palabras se burlan del Islam o degradan a algo honrado en el Islam. Entonces cualquier palabra, cualquier dicho, cualquier frase que degrada a algo que es honrado en el Islam, eso hace que la persona salga del Islam. Likewise, the one who cusses, or to say to a Muslim, I am your enemy and the enemy of your prophet. Or to a descendant of the prophet, Sharif, I am your enemy and the enemy of your grandfather, meaning the prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or to say anything similar to those aforementioned abhorrent and ugly words. And of course, who would say that except a non-Muslim? Who would degrade or mock something that is honored in Islam except for a kafir? So even if someone claims that they are joking, that's not an excuse. Even if they claim that they're mad, that's not an excuse. If a person makes fun of Islam or makes fun of something that's honored in Islam. A large number of jurists, like the Hanafi scholar Badrul Rashid and the Maliki judge Iyal, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy upon them, enumerated many things that pertain to these issues. Which one is urged to look at, because whoever does not know evil is more likely to fall into it. The author is saying he's not the first one that's mentioning these examples. the scholars of the past, they have mentioned these examples in their books. And he referred to one specific one named Badr al-Rashid of the Hanafi school and Al-Qadi Iyad from the Maliki school. So it's a well-known practice among the scholars of Islam that they list certain things that if you say it, you exit from Islam. Why do they do that? So that the people can be aware. Because these statements, they spread among the society. And so if the scholars, they don't bring the attention of the people to these things, like, hey, if you say this, you exit from Islam, so you have to repent by saying the Shahada, the people won't know and they won't be aware and they'll keep saying it. So that's what he means by the one who doesn't know evil is more likely to fall into it. What does that mean? That means that if you don't know that something is bad, then how are you going to avoid it? And if there's a thing that's bad and you don't know it's bad, since you don't know it's bad, you're going to do it. So you're going to fall into it, and being ignorant of it is not an excuse. Un gran número de faqihs, es decir, eruditos de la ley islámica, como el erudito Hanafi Badr al-Rashid, quien vivió cerca del 8º siglo Hijri, y el juez Iyad, que Allah Ta'ala tenga misericordia con ellos, enumeraron muchas palabras blasfemas que uno necesita saber, porque el que no conoce lo malo es más probable que caiga en él. Pues por supuesto, porque si no reconoce algo como malo, entonces ¿cómo va a evitarlo? Si no sabe que algo es malo, ¿cómo lo va a evitar? The rule is that any belief, action, or saying which indicates belittling Allah, His books, His prophets, His angels, His rights, the indicators of His religion, His rules, His promise, or His threat is kufr, blasphemy. Hence, one must use caution with utmost effort to avoid these at all times. So that's the rule. And it's one of the 8 rules, and we mentioned this a few weeks ago, which is anything that is known to be honored in Islam, anything that is known to have a high status in Islam, if someone makes fun of it, if someone belittles it, if someone degrades it, if someone mocks it, they blaspheme. Whether they were a new Muslim or they were an old Muslim, whether they were ignorant or not ignorant, whether they knew that what happens if they do that or not. If you know something is honored in Islam and you make fun of it, you exit from Islam. Period. That's the rule. And so here the author, he mentioned, whoever belittles Allah, that's obvious. Whoever belittles His books, the original Torah, the original Injil, the original Zabur, the Quran, whoever belittles His prophets, any prophet of Islam, whoever belittles the angels, and whoever makes fun of the angels or degrades the angels, whoever belittles any well-known practice of Islam, like the prayer, like the adhan, like the hajj, like slaughtering the sheep on Eid al-Adha, any of the well-known practices of Islam, making fun of the hijab, making fun of the turban, making fun of the man wearing a beard, any of these things, any of the sunnah matters, that would be blasphemy. Anyone who makes fun of the rules of Islam, like for example that the man can have multiple wives, or for example that the rules of inheritance, that in certain cases the man, he gets twice the amount that a woman gets, for example, or like the permissible slavery, any of these things. Anybody who makes fun of any of these rules, like fasting Ramadan, or praying 5 times a day, or that we can't eat pork, or that we can't drink alcohol, whoever makes fun of any of that, or degrades it, or mocks it, or belittles it, or puts it down, they exit from Islam. His promise, paradise, or the reward in the hereafter. And his threat is hellfire, or the punishment in the grave, or the punishment on Judgment Day. So if someone makes fun of that, makes fun of hellfire, and they say, when I go to hell, I'm going to warm up, they blaspheme. They exit from Islam. So this is the rule. Whoever wants to protect themselves from blasphemy, they would understand this rule and use their effort to avoid those things. La regla es cualquier creencia, acción o dicho que degrade a Allah, sus libros, sus mensajeros, sus ángeles, sus ritos, las bien conocidas prácticas de su religión, sus reglas, su promesa o su amenaza es blasfemia. Por lo tanto, el ser humano tiene que tener precaución con su máximo esfuerzo para evitar la blasfemia en todo momento. Porque la persona que se muere como blasfemador entra al infierno hasta sin fin. Y eso es algo que ninguno de nosotros lo queremos. Y le pedimos a Allah Ta'ala que nos proteja de la blasfemia. Le pedimos a Allah Ta'ala que haga nuestras últimas palabras: La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Y le pedimos a Allah que nos haga morir como musulmanes perfectos. Amén. We'll stop there for today. MashaAllah, we covered a good amount. We got to the section 3, page 26, which is referring to the repentance of the apostates. So, inshallah, we'll continue that tomorrow. If there are no questions, we'll conclude. No question? Yeah. هكذا يعني هذا من يعني لا هو سمعي لا يعلم ذلك إلا عن طريق السمع، إلا أن يصله، يعني إلا أن يبلغه هكذا. يعني كل ما يتعلق بالغيب، يعني الجنة، النار، البرزخ، الملائكة، كل هذا إن كان لا يعلم به ما تعلمه ولا مثيله، ويعني ما علم أن المسلمين يعتقدون ذلك فأنكره أو شك فيه لا يكفر. Yes.
Prostrate for prayer. What is the appropriate way to do it?
So whenever it is time to pray, like when you're praying Dhuhr or Asr or Maghrib or Isha, you sit them down and you tell them, watch how I pray. Like that. Yeah. Or, for example, you have someone, like a third person, and you tell them to pray, let's say, 2 sunnah rak'ahs, right? Just like that. And then as they're praying them, you explain to them, look, what they're doing now, this is called ruku'. What they're doing now, this is called sujood. What they're doing now is sitting, for example. This is how we sit, like that. So you have someone actually pray a prayer, like sunnah prayer, and you explain to them how it goes. Or you narrate for them. No.
Earlier you said the depth of hellfire from 40 years depth to 70 is reserved for the blasphemers?
Yeah, from 40 on to the bottom.
Is it mentioned whether above that means there's no blasphemers?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that whatever Muslim goes to hell, he won't go beyond deeper than the 40-year mark.
And the valley, is it mentioned whether the valley goes from 40 to 70 or?
Good question. I never heard that. ¿Todo bien, hermana? ¿Tienes alguna pregunta? No, tú, yeah. No. Yeah. Okay, ¿todo bien? Okay, alhamdulillah. No. Yes, go ahead.
If somebody exited because of the mockery, and then can he come back to the...
Absolutely. And so that's a good question. They have to come back immediately.
Yeah, by saying the shahada.
By saying the shahada and clearing themselves of the kufr that occurred and saying the shahada immediately. So that's a good thing that you mentioned, because some people, they think if the apostasy occurs that there's no way back. But the reality is that they have to come back right away. So they have to clear themselves and they have to say the shahada. No. طيب. بارك الله فيكم.
Tomorrow same time like today, starting at 5 o'clock.
Okay. The translate that? Sí, entonces él le está preguntando si la persona comete apostasía, sale del Islam, que si hay una manera de regresar al Islam. Entonces es importante saber que uno es obligado a regresar al Islam inmediatamente. Entonces si ocurre la blasfemia, tiene que liberarse de esa blasfemia, borrar esa blasfemia y decir el shahada para regresar al Islam inmediatamente. No. طيب, tomorrow inshallah 5 p.m. We'll pray Asr and then we'll start. ماشي?
Yeah,
Right.
same schedule like today, we're gonna have dinner and break.
And there'll be the same schedule as today, dinner and break and all that. طيب نهلل لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم ربي اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات وبارك الله فيكم السلام عليكم.